right, so today we're going to do a deep dive into how to be happy.
Yeah.
The Depression Self-Help Guide by Grace Anderson.
Yeah.
And I know you signed up for Self-Help and Happiness.
Mm-hmm.
And this book is really for people who are dealing with depression.
Right.
But I think there's a lot here for everyone.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think we should dive right in.
Let's do it.
So one of the things that I found really interesting
Okay.
early on, Anderson says, happiness is not some shiny trophy you win.
Oh.
It's more about building the muscle to handle whatever life throws at you.
That's such a good quote.
And that really resonated with me.
Yeah.
You know, because so often we think about,
Yeah.
Happiness is like this thing that we just achieve.
Exactly.
And then we're done.
Yes.
And she's really framing it as like, no, this is a lifelong pursuit.
Yeah, it's a practice.
Yeah.
It's not a destination.
So I thought that was a really interesting way to start out.
Absolutely. And one of the things that she does really well in this book is she provides very practical tools
Okay.
to build that muscle. She's not just saying like, oh, you should be happy.
Right.
She's giving you very specific things that you can do to kind of shift your mindset and your habits.
Okay, so what are some of those things?
Oh, one of the biggest things that she talks about is cognitive behavioral therapy,
Okay.
or CBT,
DBT.
which is a very practical approach to understanding how our thoughts, our feelings, and our behaviors are all connected.
So it's not just about like positive thinking.
Right. It's not just like putting on a happy face.
Right.
It's really about understanding the patterns in your thinking and how those patterns might be contributing to some of the challenges that you're facing.
Okay, so how does that actually work?
So one of the key techniques within CBT
Okay.
is something called cognitive reframing.
Yeah.
And I love how she breaks this down, specifically for people who are dealing with depression. So she talks about these common negative thought patterns that we all have, like all or nothing thinking,
Oh, yeah?
where you see things in extremes, right? It's either I am a complete success or I'm a total failure,
Yeah.
or catastrophizing,
Uh-huh.
where you're always assuming the worst is going to happen.
Okay.
And so she gives you very concrete steps to challenge and reframe these thoughts. And the idea is that over time, if you can start to shift those thought patterns, it can actually have a really big impact on your overall outlook.
Yeah. Is there a danger, though, with some of this stuff to fall into that trap of toxic positivity?
Yes, absolutely.
Where you just kind of slap a happy face sticker on everything.
Right.
Does she address that at all?
Yeah, she does. And she stresses the importance of acknowledging and processing difficult emotions.
Okay.
So it's not about, pretending that everything is fine. It's about
No.
recognizing that, life is full of ups and downs,
Yeah.
but it's about how we relate to those ups and downs. So cognitive reframing is not about denying reality. It's about looking at it through a more balanced and helpful lens.
Okay.
So for example, instead of saying I'm a failure, you might say, okay, I made a mistake. What can I learn from this?
Yeah, that's a big difference.
It is a big difference.
So what other tools does she give us?
Well, another big one is mindfulness.
Okay.
And mindfulness is all about bringing your full attention to the present moment without judgment.
Okay.
And Anderson talks about how mindfulness practices can actually rewire your brain.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So they can help to calm the amygdala, which is our fear center,
Right.
and strengthen the prefrontal cortex, which helps with emotional regulation.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not just about like chilling out for a few minutes.
Right. It's not just about relaxation, although that's a nice side benefit, but there's actually real science behind this.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
So what did that look like?
Well, she gives a lot of specific exercises in the book, like focused breathing, body scan meditations, things that you can incorporate into your daily routine. And she emphasizes that you don't have to spend hours doing this.
Right.
Even a few minutes a day can make a difference.
I know. It's so hard to just be,
It is,
just to sit.
especially in our world today, where we're constantly bombarded with stimulation.
Yeah. And we're always supposed to be doing something.
Exactly.
So does she give us any tips on how to actually do that?
Yeah, she does. She suggests starting small.
Okay.
Maybe 5 minutes of mindful breathing each morning, or maybe taking a mindful walk during your lunch break. It's about building the habit,
Right.
not achieving some unrealistic ideal.
Well, starting somewhere.
Exactly.
Okay. I like that. So manageable steps. What else?
Well, another big one is self-compassion.
Oh.
And this is something that she talks a lot about.
Okay.
And she argues that we often treat ourselves far more harshly than we would ever treat a friend.
Oh, I'm definitely guilty of that.
I think we all are to some extent.
That inner critic can be so loud.
Yes, it can.
Yeah.
And so she really encourages us to challenge that inner critic and to cultivate a kinder, more understanding inner voice.
Okay.
It's about recognizing that we are all imperfect humans, and that's okay.
That's a good reminder.
Yeah.
So if you had to sum up this whole book, what would you say is like core message?
I would say the core message is that happiness isn't something that just happens to you.
Okay.
It's an active process, an ongoing journey of self-discovery and growth, and you have the power to choose happiness.
I like that. So I think there are a lot of people listening right now who are like, okay, this is all great,
Yeah.
but where do I even begin?
Right,
Yeah.
and that's the beauty of this book, is
Yeah.
that she gives you those concrete tools so you can start today.
Okay.
So as you're reflecting on what we've
All
talked
right.
about today,
Yeah.
what resonated most with you? Maybe it's trying out a mindful breathing exercise tonight, or maybe it's catching yourself the next time that inner critic pipes up
Yeah.
and choosing a kinder response.
Okay. So just take one small step.
One small step.
Today, that could be the start of
A big germ.
big journey.
Exactly.
All right. Well, this was great.
This was fun.
Yeah, I'm glad we got to dive into this.
Me too.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks for having me.